I does what I likes, and I likes like. I does what I likes, and I likes like.
The so-called master race of gaming really is not perfect.
That's true. I suppose our cocks could be even bigger. I suppose that our temperatures could be cooler. I suppose our frame rates could get higher. Perhaps our resolutions could become even clearer.
They claim to be the pinnacle of gaming.
Well, in terms of frame rates, resolutions, hardware capability, in terms of freedom on the platform, certainly you wouldn't disagree. You wouldn't contend against that, would you?
But really they suffer from some pretty big flaws. Today I will be exposing them, bringing them into light, and showing everyone who they truly are. This is going to be the top 10 worst things about PC gamers.
You know, this has worked out so well for everyone else who has done this before you. I'm certain it'll work out even better for you. I have confidence in you that you will be different than all of the others who have done this and made fools of themselves in the face of tens or hundreds of thousands of people. I'm certain, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that you possess some amazing, unique quality that they simply did not have that will elevate you above the rank and file.
And we're going to kick it off here with number 10 is they are stupid.
Oh shit, he figured us out.
PC gamers are just basically wasting their money. Can you imagine spending thousands of dollars on a top-of-the-line gaming PC and then finding out, guess what, next day, it's obsolete, something better came out?
You understand, don't you, that just because something else comes out that's better does not mean anything before it is automatically rendered obsolete. Toyota Corollas are not obsolete because Ferrari Californias exist. My SLI 980 Ti's are not obsolete because a 1080 Ti is out. It just means that now there's an even better option. There are people that I play with who are running 970s or 1050 Ti's, what I would consider much weaker cards than my own. And they are much weaker, but they're not obsolete. They aren't worthless just because my card is more powerful. But in the interest of fairness, I'm certain that you would also say that the PlayStation 4 is obsolete because now there's a PlayStation 4 Pro, and the Xbox One will soon become obsolete once a Scorpio is out, right? Well, just following the logic, one would assume you would also say and think these other things. Or are the rules different for consoles? Of course they are, of course they are. So let's take a look at what we have listed here. Cybertron PC, Steel. B1080X VR-ready gaming desktop, Intel Core i7 6800 3.4 GHz hexa-core processor, 16GB DDR4 memory, with an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1080, 8GB GDDR5X graphics card, 240GB SSD, 2TB hard drive, and Windows 10. Available in Super Hot Jet Fuel Red and Icy Blizzard Azure Blue. $2,070. Yeah, that's overpriced as fuck. I would never, ever recommend anybody spend $2,070 on this particular PC. Granted, it's extremely powerful, but these days, I mean, look, we have to take something into account here before you plop images on the screen. This item, it's not new. It's from June the 1st, 2016. Right now, you could go to Amazon and get 1080s for under $500. This is also obviously a very high-end enthusiast-grade PC. And it's a pre-built, so expect the price to be higher than just putting it together yourself or using a different service or having someone else do it for you. It is both disingenuous and disheartening to see that you've already whipped out of your asshole this particular computer as an example of what PC gaming is and the price it takes to enter into it. A PC can cost as little as a console, even less money if you're really on a budget, but they can also cost, as you see here, thousands and thousands of dollars. It's one of the advantages the PC has over the console. There are a countless amount of ways to mix and match the parts based on what you want and what your budget is. Example number 2, Asus ROG G251CA VR-ready gaming desktop, NVIDIA GTX 1080 Intel Core i7 6700K 4.2 GHz, 64GB DDR4, 1TB SSD, and Windows 10. Say that 3 times fast. Don't. Actually. $4,200 American. Damn, son, that's a lot of money to spend on a PC. This indeed came out 2 months and a week after the first example. But, I fail to see how this one, which came out just over 2 months later, is actually better than the first. Or maybe you didn't read what you were looking at and you just went straight to the price tag to decide which one was better. Because lower price tag means that it's obviously obsolete, right? Because you're a stupid console peasant and you don't know how things work in the real world. I'll forgive you for now. Maybe all the third-person action games have turned your brain to mush. But let's go ahead and whip out our cocks and see who's bigger. Me, of course, but between these two PCs, there's a couple differences. The first that comes to mind is the graphics cards. The Cybertron PC has a single 1080 inside of it. Still a very powerful card, far more than any console, but the Asus ROG has 2 of them. All of the other differences are fairly minor compared to that one. One has a slightly beefier CPU, which shouldn't matter too much. One has more memory, which is nice, but as long as you have enough, then it's not a huge difference. One has a 1TB SSD, the other one has a 240GB SSD, but that one has a 2TB hard drive in addition. They both have Windows 10. Pick your poison. No, don't. They're both poison. Don't pick either of these things. This isn't new technology. You could get all of this stuff without having to pay that exorbitant cost. Really what you're paying for is just the fact it's pre-built and easier than assembling it yourself. Not thousands of dollars worth of ease, but that's just me. Like I said, you can get a 1080 for under $500 now, so really makes it hard to justify spending that kind of money on these systems. I think they're insanely overpriced. Don't do it, and certainly do not use these as examples of typical PC gaming. But your point was that one came out that's better, the old one is obsolete. That's ridiculous. These are still, even by modern standards, April standards of 2017, these are still both very powerful computers.
This is the never-ending paradox of the PC platform.
I'm under the impression you do not understand what a paradox is. At a very basic and low level, a paradox is a statement that has self-contradictory statements inside of it because both those statements are true, but they can't be true at the same time. Some would say it's a statement that sounds reasonable and has true premises in it, but it has self-contradictory or logically unacceptable conclusions. Sometimes these are oxymorons in a way, like wise fools or bittersweet. Do you know your Orwell? All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Like doggies. Or Shakespeare's Hamlet. I must be cruel to be kind. I think you get this idea because you are under the impression that a real, true PC gamer is always striving to have literally the most powerful computer physically possible, which is not possible because every day something new comes out from somebody or there's experimental tech that's not available to the public, but that doesn't make your system any less powerful. I think my computer is strong. It is beefy. It's got a lot of oomph inside of it, like me. That doesn't mean it's obsolete because I don't have the exact most powerful technology available to the human race inside my personal gaming computer. Some people have stronger computers than I do, and good on them. Many people have weaker PCs than I do, and that's fine too. That doesn't mean they're any less of a PC gamer.
Not only does the machine get irrelevant with each day.
Well, I mean, if you want to be really loose with it, you can say that about, practically every piece of technology that has ever been created.
The value goes down. Now, if we look at some of the older consoles, the value's actually going up. You look at a Super Nintendo.
Wow, you're 10 different kinds of stupid, aren't you? Firstly, the SNES system was released in 1990, the same year as Super Mario World. I even went to the item that you had posted in your video on eBay. eBay's a really strange word if you say it a lot. Like eBay, 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 eBay. See, that sounds weird. Your video was made at the beginning of April. Mine is being released at the end of April. Also, the price that's listed is not the selling price. It's what they're asking for. And notice how it's changed. Asking price was $500, now it's $380, and there doesn't seem to be any offers. Like, I don't know, people don't want to buy it at that price. Now, back in 1990, the SNES retailed at $200, and adjusting for inflation, that's $332 now. So, if we're talking about console games retaining their value or even increasing in value, and I can go to a site like DK Oldies, for instance, and buy new or refurbished SNES systems for less than $100 or less than $200, I'm not exactly... I mean, my SNES isn't exactly gaining value, is it? But just for the sake of lulz, let's say that your image was actually not insanely disingenuous, like I have a feeling the rest of this video is going to be. Let's say that your system, right? Let's say that that system actually was worth what the asking price was, $500. That means that after 27 years, you would gain about $170. Wow, God, sign me the fuck up. And a lot of the times, these things are not inherently valuable because they are consoles, but because they are a part of history. They are nostalgic items people wish to own. They are in good condition. They're not being made anymore. The original is what has the value. Not terribly much, but it has some value to it. I mean, it still works after all. It's still usable. But again, it's been 27 years since the Super Nintendo Entertainment System has been out. That is a long-ass time to wait to get $170. If you have it, if someone would be willing to pay that, which they're not. Now, there are some consoles and systems that can be worth a lot of money, but these are very few and far between. A lot of the times they're special editions or games that are new in the box, things of that nature, like action figures or Cabbage Patch toys, unopened comic books, things of that nature. But the tiny, slim, astronomically low chance that your console will somehow magically make up for itself 27 years down the road, maybe not the biggest endorsement of the platform.
So, when it comes down to it, PC gamers are just throwing their money away. It's going right down the drain.
Well, by that virtue, spending any money on any hobby is throwing money down in the drain. All that money I spend on bullets, I'm just throwing them down the drain. Yeah, I enjoy shooting guns, but I'm just throwing money down the drain. I'll never make that money back. If you buy a game, you beat it, and you trade it into GameStop, I mean, you're just throwing your money down the drain. You stupid idiot. They're hobbies, not investments. You're not trying to make money, you're trying to enjoy something. Things are not a waste of money because you cannot make an equal or greater money back from it. I went to Walgreens yesterday and I got 2 big jugs of Simply Orange, pure orange juice, 2 for $6, right? I'm not wasting my money buying that. It's delicious, yummy fruit juice. I'm not going to get my money back. I'm almost literally going to piss it away.
And when you buy a console, you're basically making an investment. Now, the next point is that they don't actually own any games.
This applies to all digital games purchases, not just the ones made on Steam, not just the ones made on PC. If you were keeping up with current information, then you would probably know that the idea of selling digital products is probably going to happen fairly soon. Steam, GOG, Origin, places like this already have refund systems in progress.
They always brag about Steam. You get these deals, 50% off, and most of the time they buy the game, play it once, never touch it again.
Citation needed that PC gamers only play their games one time and never again.
I guess it is a fair point that you get a ton of games for a good price. Here's the flaw though. Steam is just a very popular DRM.
Yeah, and we're fine with it because it's totally fair DRM. Not all digital rights management is the same. It's one of the many reasons why the Xbox One has sold so terribly, because the levels of DRM that they were trying to do in 2013 at the release of the Xbox One was draconian and anti-consumer. It wasn't good and acceptable like Steam does or like Origin does.
You don't own the games you buy off their platform, it's just a license to play the game.
Alright, now tell me what the problem is with that, I guess.
So if Steam ever goes under, you can say goodbye to all the money you've spent because those games just disappear into nothingness.
Well gosh, if Microsoft goes under, then say goodbye to playing all your games on the Xbox. If Sony goes under, say goodbye to playing all the games on the PlayStation. If there's global thermonuclear war, say goodbye to playing your games anyway. This is a stupid point. Besides, Steam works in offline mode anyway. I don't know why I need Steam to play my Steam games. You need any online service anyway to play your multiplayer games, but you rely on that. What happens if Xbox Live goes down, which does happen, or the PlayStation Network goes down, which does happen? What about then? You can't play your multiplayer games then. I think the risk of Steam dissolving as a company is not something that we really are going to worry about too much.
Now, it is true you can still buy games physically, but if you ever go to your traditional game store like GameStop, EB Games, whatever you use, the PC section is always small, pathetic, and usually tucked away in a secluded, dimly lit section of the store.
I haven't been to GameStop in a long time. I think I went there once to buy a DS game not too long ago, but the PC section was there, and it certainly wasn't in the corner. It was actually in the center of the room on a series of these racks, and it certainly wasn't dimly lit, and it certainly wasn't tucked away. Same thing to the ones I go and see at Office Depot or at Target or at any of these places if I'm ever by. These things are presented for consumers to see. They have no reason to tuck it away and keep it dimly lit. They want you to see these items and buy these items. There's just not many of them there because the PC market for physical games isn't as big as the console one. The vast majority of PC gamers buy their games digitally. But if you're going to say it's dimly lit, then maybe actually show a picture of a PC gaming section that was dimly lit. Wait, is that Spore? When was this picture taken?
And the console games are always at the forefront of the display because we actually buy games.
Well, obviously PC gamers buy games too. I don't know where you got the idea that they don't. I mean, the market is growing, expanding, and thriving quite well, and if we weren't buying games, that wouldn't exactly be the case, would it? Also, you swap stores. You went from what looks like a Target, I suppose, to a GameStop, where idiots go to buy games because they want to support GameStop, I guess. Most console games are sold physically, so they require more physical space to do so. That's why I can get on my iPhone and have the entire store of Steam, but at the same time, if I want to go buy physical games, it requires an entire actual store to show off all the merchandise. Also, this argument seems to center a lot around the idea of where the physical game actually exists on the planet Earth, which is irrelevant if you buy digital anyway, because I can buy games without leaving this chair. Why would I subject myself to the personal anguish of traveling physically to a GameStop location to support GameStop by buying a game from GameStop, when I can buy from Steam or Origin or Chrono GG or someplace without leaving my chair? Sipping on my soda pop. Ah, delicioso.
But speaking of games...
Oh, and I'm sorry, what year are you getting your photos from? Xbox? PlayStation 2?
They all play the same games. Probably one of the most comical things is how these people spend all their money on these insanely high-performance machines, but what do they end up playing? It's League of Legends, Dota 2, CSGO, the same boring shit.
Admittedly, I'm not much of a fan of MOBAs, they just don't really interest me. Now, at least. And I have played Counter-Strike Go for a bit, and it's just not really my cup of tea. But I'll certainly not say that Counter-Strike Go was boring. It was exciting and it was tense. I just didn't really care for the gameplay and how it all works. That's just not my thing. And while these are all very, very popular games on the PC platform, especially globally, I find it ironic that a console gamer is telling PC gamers that it's the PC gamers who all play the same games. Console gaming culture, from what I have seen especially, is built around the next one big game to come out. Gears of War, Halo, Uncharted, Horizon Zero Dawn, Bloodborne, it's all about this one game, and everyone plays that game and talks about this one game. Whereas on the PC, we have a wide variety of genres, a wide variety of different game styles, and they are constantly coming out and being released. It sounds to me like you're just angry that there are some globally extremely prevalent PC titles that don't have either any presence on the console or a much, much smaller one.
And by the way, those games could be played on a toaster plugged into a potato, so why do you have a $2,000 rig to play it?
Do you really want to know the answer to that inquiry, or are you just being a snarky little shit? I'm going to imagine the answer is actually the latter, but I'll answer it anyway. Because there is a huge difference between playing a game at 45 frames per second and playing a game at 144 frames per second. You play on console, you might not understand this concept. There is a difference between playing a game at 720p on medium settings and playing a game at 1440p at ultra. I assume if I go through your video list, I will find videos talking about how stupid the Xbox Scorpio and how stupid the PlayStation 4 Pro is because, oh, they play the same games, why spend more money on a system that plays the same games, right? Of course I'll find those videos, won't I? Dun-da-da. Okay, I did check. Your videos are just shit in general. Never mind. Why would you buy an expensive PC if these 3 games can run at low-end systems? First off, that's one of the reasons why these games are so popular, because they can be ran on practically anything, which expands the amount of people who can play it. It's shocking how you don't understand that. But because, contrary to your belief, a lot of people play a lot of other games. Some people just play these games, and that's fine. You can play whatever you want. But the game is better when it is running on better hardware. More precise controls from the higher frame rate, better looking visuals from ultra textures, a clearer image from a higher resolution. It's a much more pleasant experience to play on higher resolutions and frame rates and all that normally than on lower ones, all other things being equal. I assume by that logic you never buy like remasters or re-releases of old games, right? I mean, why would you buy a new console just to play old games that can run on weaker consoles, right? Or are you saying that better hardware makes for a better experience compared to the old experience? Oh, how about that?
Obviously not everyone fits into that category, but
But what?
these games definitely have the largest player bases. And it's funny to see them brag about having all these different games, but they end up playing the same ones.
That's because they play those different games, you imbecile. And you can also brag about having a huge collection of games without you actually accessing every game on that list. For instance, I don't really care for real-time strategy games. I don't really care for racing games. But I'll always bring it up in an advantage for PC gaming because this may sound very shocking to a console player, but I actually care about other gamers. And just because I don't play a game, that doesn't mean other people do not as well. I can understand that even though I don't care for real-time strategy games, a lot of other gamers do. Hell, the person I might be talking to might enjoy a genre I don't. I don't particularly enjoy Counter-Strike Go all that much, but I would never say it's a bad game. I mean, maybe in the past I have, being hyperbolic, but it's really not a bad game. It's just not my thing. But to look at the most popular games and say, oh, see, they don't play any other games because these ones are the most popular, it makes you sound like a fucking idiot.
So my next point is they are criminals. Piracy, it's a plague, it infests PC gaming.
Well, actually, it doesn't actually. We can see that because the industry is growing so large and because the companies who make the components are making so much money and because more people are building their own PCs now. But piracy is actually a fairly complex issue. It's not simple and it shouldn't be scoffed at so easily. In fact, it really deserves its own video. I'll link in the description some articles you should take a look at, like this piece by Matt Ployhar of Intel. This was a very interesting read, and also there's a couple on PCGamer.com you should look at as well. The State of PC Piracy in 2016 by Ian Birnbaum, and what I think is a very, very interesting survey that PC Gamer did, PC Piracy Survey Results, that show that 35% of PC gamers have ever pirated a game. But there's far, far more to it than just, 35% of PC gamers have ever pirated a video game before. They go into the demographics of where you're from, what age are you, and then the reasons why piracy even occurs. And it's estimated that 40% plus of pirates will end up buying the game that they pirate. For instance, the most common reasons people pirate at all is to use it as a demo, or because they simply can't afford it, because there's a lot of countries where the price is just astronomically high, or the wages are too low, or localization hasn't been proper. It's a very complicated subject, and it's not something as simple as, PC gamers don't buy games. Because if you want to get to the nitty-gritty of it, we can talk about the prevalence of used games on consoles if you wish, and how detrimental that is to the industry. I will probably end up doing a video on PC piracy. I'd like to get some other YouTubers involved, maybe do a live stream of the results of this survey and some other information, because as I said before, it deserves its own video. It's complicated. It's not as simple as X amount of pirates pirate games, so they're bad people, and PC gaming sucks. There's more to it than that.
The truth is, developers hate making games on PC.
And that's weird because they keep doing it. The open nature of the PC is extremely friendly to smaller games, where they can retain much of their creativity and control over their products and prices. And there's a lot of games that start on PC and then go to console afterwards.
Because the profit margin is razor thin. Why? The game's either stolen or sold at a drastically reduced price.
You'll have to cite something that profit margins on the PC are razor thin. Obviously, some games and some developers are more successful than others based on their discoverability and the quality of their game, and other factors, of course. But you know, for years, developers have been able to run their own discount sales on Steam without Valve's approval. This allows developers to directly take advantage of trends that they see in the market, or to compete directly against other titles that might be releasing, or that are surging in popularity, or really for any reason that they want. And giving power directly to the developers is normally a good thing. But you know what developers really hate? Used games. You know how much money a developer makes when you buy a game used? Well, I'll give you a hint. It's a very round number, and it rhymes with hero. Developers don't make squat diddly on a used game purchase. They make nothing. Zero, zilch, nada. You know what developers hate? When you go to GameStop and you go to the shelf and you pick up a new game and you bring it over to the cashier and the cashier says, you know, you could buy that game new and support the developers, or you can buy it used and get it from us and save $5. Now, most of the people who pirate games at all do it to use the pirated version as just a demo to see if the game is something that they'd like. And information shows that around 40% of people who pirate games eventually buy a proper copy. It makes you wonder, do you think that 4 out of 10 people who go into a GameStop and buy a used game come back to GameStop later and say, I want to trade this in and I want to buy a new copy of this game? Because something tells me that 4 out of 10 people do not do that. Statistically, I would much rather someone pirate my game than buy it used.
The biggest joke is they take this as a point of pride. They love to brag how they get their games for free, they're suckers for buying games. Meanwhile, they're killing the industry.
Look, if a developer wants to put their game on sale because they think it's best for their game, I fail to see how more people buying it because of the developers having control over their own products is bad for the industry.
And guess what? If everyone pirated games, nobody would make games, so you guys suck.
Well, the vast majority of people don't, and many of the ones who do buy the game anyway. And the reasons that they give are poor localization, they just want to use it as a demo, they don't like the practices that a lot of these game companies are doing that are anti-consumer, and they pirate a game as a way to get around that. Maybe those are the real issues.
This has caused developers to take huge precautions when releasing games. They're creating increasingly complex anti-piracy measures. And if you ever call them out on how piracy is wrong, I guarantee you will hit a nerve.
Well, it's probably because equating piracy to morality is an extremely stupid thing to do. Is it wrong? Yes, in a legal sense, it's wrong. Looking at a pirate as someone who's a bad person is not a good way to win hearts and minds. The industry itself has a lot of anti-consumer facets to it, and so when consumers themselves react in this way, you have to look at the underlying issues of why it's being done. Is it legally wrong to pirate? Yes, it is. Is it morally justifiable? Well, that's arguable.
You will most likely be berated with endless excuses and justifications for the crime. And when it comes down to it, piracy is a crime, and if you ask me, it should be enforced with capital punishment. Number 6 is a good one. They are perverts.
You might be thinking this is a troll. I thought so too at this point. And I think that part was just being, hyperbolic for its own sake. But he's adamant that this is not a troll video, so, I guess I don't really care.
One thing pretty much all PC gamers share is they love to jack off.
No, that's just humans. That's not just PC gamers. That's everybody. Everybody likes to masturbate because it feels fantastic and it's easy to do anywhere.
If you took a black light to their keyboard, it would shine brighter than the sun. You would be blinded by the glare of years of semen sprayed on their keyboard, monitor, chair, and most of their room.
As flattering as it is to think that we have such powerful ejaculations to reach our monitors, you understand we don't, point our cocks at the keyboard when we come, right? Because we know that shit's gotta go somewhere, and we don't want that somewhere to be on the keyboard, or on the monitor, or on the mouse. Why would we do that? That's bad. We use that shit.
Just look at some of the filthy games available for purchase. Dating sims and games that exploit women or...
Games that exploit women. And Honey Pop was okay, I guess. Some of the payoffs you get for finally going through the full romance with them, they just weren't really worth it. But that Indian lady, she's sick. She is a dirty, dirty girl.
Readily available in Steam. So these games are insanely popular, and with increasing technology with things like fleshlights that connect to the games, soon PC gamers will not only find consoles obsolete, but real women as well.
Again, I don't think you understand what obsolete means. Jerking off is great, but it's nowhere close to actually being inside of a vagina. Or an ass, as the case may be. However, those words of yours are spoken like a true virgin. Maybe one day, when you finally get your chance to share a bed with a woman, you will understand. Until then, though, all you have is conjecture, and it's showing.
Now, this next one is a big one. They always complain.
Wait, what's this video again?
These guys are never satisfied.
Yeah, we're insatiable.
Like a fat guy at an all-you-can-eat buffet, they always want more.
No, fat people eventually do get finished.
If the game comes out, but it's not released on PC, oh god, you can bet it will start an uproar. They will demand the game is released on their platform.
Well, normally we just ask, and if the answer is no, we want kind of legitimate reasons, like why isn't this coming to PC? Like Destiny, for instance. I don't really care about the game, but why wasn't it released on PC? It's weird.
Create petitions which thousands will sign, and do anything possible to get the game.
What do you mean sign petitions and do all we can do?
And what happens when the game is released? Always a problem.
Actually, most of the ports are perfectly fine. In fact, it's practically a universal rule that the PC version will always be better than the console version will. It has better control schemes, more customizability, it looks better, it runs far better, mod support, yada yada.
Even when the games come out originally on PC, they always find something to complain about. Now, I'm not against criticism of games,
That's weird, it kind of sounds like you are.
but it's always some petty bullshit like frame rate or resolution or optimization.
Frame rate, resolution, and optimization are not petty things. They are not petty on the PC, and they are not petty on the consoles. In fact, the terrible performance of games on consoles in general is the primary reason why I left.
Rarely is it actually about the game. Now let's have a look at some of these games, and this is my next point, is they have the worst exclusives. Now, Steam can be a good thing in some ways. It's popular, good deals, a wide selection of games. Here's the problem though, there's no filter.
Yeah, I like it when a company decides everything I can and cannot purchase for my gaming system. Personal discretion, making my own buying decisions, ugh, who needs that?
Some of the games available are so garbage that it's a joke to think people would waste money on them. And if they are actually somewhat decent, they just end up coming to consoles anyways.
Yeah, sometimes decent games do have an inferior version that comes to console, and not every exclusive for every platform is high quality. There are lots of console exclusives that are crap. There's a lot of PC exclusives that are crap, but one is closed and one is open. Having an open system for a gaming platform has so many advantages it weighs out the slight negative of, well, sometimes there are quality control issues.
Steam might boast a huge library of games, but when most of them have the quality of yesterday's turd, it's like bragging about having the world's largest collection of shit.
The natural inevitability of having an open platform or a system like Steam where a much larger pool of people can put their games up for sale means that there will be a lot more high-quality games, and there will also be more low-quality games. And I think it is much, much more beneficial to the consumer that they have the ability to choose from this much larger pool instead of having a single corporation tell them everything they're allowed to have. Is it messy sometimes? Yeah. But it works wonderfully. Are there some flaws to the system? Certainly. Could it use a little changes? Yeah. But every system has crap games. And the positives far, far outweigh the negatives. I would much rather be on a marketplace that had 50 good games and 100 bad games than 10 good games and 1 bad game.
But with a few gold nuggets buried in it, it's barely worth the time to look through.
I mean, it only takes seconds. You just go to Steam, and then go to the top sellers, and they have the ratings right there. And, I mean, you can do the same thing that you do with games on console. You can look at reviews, and you can go to YouTube and watch people that you trust give their thoughts on the game. You could go online, watch gameplay.
Now, number 3 is sad but true. They have no friends.
Every week or so, I have to go to my Steam page, and my friends list is full of invites from people, and I mean, I want to be friends with everybody, but the reality is that I can't, so I have to ignore literally hundreds of requests from people I just don't know. It's not out of malice, it's just the reality of the situation. I just can't be friends with everybody. But this is a stupid argument anyway.
What's more fun than getting a few pals together, crack open a couple beers, and play some games with your buds?
Vaginal sex. And it's just the best.
This is a joy that is lost on PC gamers.
Now, I play with friends all the time, and I make new friends all the time too. The PC is open, and there are so many different ways to get into contact with people. Skype, Discord, TeamSpeak, there's all the Steam games themselves. I meet a lot of people through other YouTubers that I know. It's practically impossible to not be social on the PC.
They may claim to have 100 friends on Steam, but when it comes down to it, they would just rather play alone in a dank basement with only their anime waifu pillow to keep them company.
Yeah, there's nothing substantive here. Pretty typical peasantry, I suppose.
They are a sad, lonely breed that really deserves our pity more than anything else.
It's a shame you're too detached from reality to understand that your pity would be an insult.
If you have a PC gamer friend, the best thing you can do is drag them out into daylight and show them the big world that they can be a part of.
Yeah, it's not like I'm an Eagle Scout, or I was in Search and Rescue, or it's not like I literally climbed a mountain last week.
Now, this next point is more of a minor thing, but I still think it's valid.
Yeah, I'm sure you would.
Ever heard of a console getting a virus? Nope, doesn't happen. Enjoy your malware, and your spyware, and your other malicious things that cripple PCs.
Well, there's probably a lot of things that you haven't seen. But you're right, this is a really minor point. It makes me wonder why you even brought it up. I've been on the PC for years, I've never had any issues. Really, no one that I've ever talked to seems to bring up viruses or problems like that. As long as you don't go to, well, unsavory places, you shouldn't have an issue. And even the most basic software will keep your computer protected against anything like that. I mean, really, why did you bring it up?
Which might not just impact your video game collection, but could potentially ruin your life.
You know, potentially a console could suffer some fatal error and become useless too, right? But I wouldn't tell people don't buy consoles because they have a history of being unreliable. Depending on the console, of course.
Now, no need to deal with that. If you have a console, you can rest easy. No viruses there.
If, as a gamer, viruses are something that you worry about, you need to reevaluate your outlook on reality.
You could also get a Mac, because we all know they're virus-proof.
That's literally not true.
So my last point is we have a group of people that spend tons of money on irrelevant machines.
Yeah, I understand it is a throwaway line, but you haven't actually told us how PC gaming is irrelevant or how the hardware is irrelevant, especially when it's far more powerful than consoles are. And when PC gaming technology, along with the movie industry, is responsible for so much of the leaps forward in technology that you enjoy on consoles, maybe you wouldn't think it's so irrelevant.
Complain to companies to release their games on PC and just end up pirating them anyways, and claim to be the master race when they act more like babies. The biggest problem with PC gamers is they are hypocrites.
Oh boy, this just keeps getting better. Do tell. Were you abused by a PC as a child?
And you know what? The funny thing is, I could ignore everything on the list, if they weren't just so stuck up about it. So do yourself a favor, sell the PC.
Wait. But how? How are we How are we hypocrites? You didn't actually say why. You didn't give us an example. You didn't... How are we hypocrites?
Get a nice console.
That sounds like an awful idea.
Statistically, you will be a better person for it.
You probably couldn't spell statistically. Either way, that's not really much of a bother. I know you're just a provocateur, looking for reasons to get attention. Fair enough, whatever. I don't really care about the attention that you get. If it makes my channel grow and it gives enjoyment and entertainment to my audience, what you get is really irrelevant. I mean, you are irrelevant anyway. No one watches your stuff. No one cares about your little channel. But if we can use your foolishness for our entertainment, then so be it. It was good, though, to take this foray back into the PC versus console commentary response video thing that originally led to my popularity, and then I have branched out from then. It's good to take a look back at all these arguments, to see that the console peasant is still alive and well in today's society. And I look very, very forward to finding even more in the future. By all means, send me, Twitter is a good place to send me links. You can email me some. You can send me some via Discord. But I'm going to go ahead and end the video there because I don't have a choice, because his video's done too. It was pretty awful. Good to see that some things never change. I will say, though, that I have gone part-time fully. So I now have 3 days off a week. I can do stuff like this. I can make videos like this. This was my third day off this week, so I could make this video, get this all wrapped up and finished. So thank you very, very, very much to all of my very generous patrons. I know who each and every one of you are, and thank you again for the very generous people who have donated to me on the Super Chat on YouTube. I have your names as well, and I'm still thinking about what I should do in terms of Patreon rewards and tiers and goals and things like that. Send me feedback if you want to give it to me. Not here on YouTube. It's impossible to keep track of everything here. Twitter, Discord, email, the best way to do that. I've got some new avatar sets in the work so that I don't have to use these stock images that I have licensed to. All these pictures here, they're from 123RF, and I had to pay money per image to use them in videos if I monetize them. So I did that. I'm hopefully going to get my monies back out of doing that. I think it's only a matter of time till I do. And then I could use something that actually I own. So I've got someone working on pictures, and I'm going to use those, and they got different expressions and things, and it's going to be great. It's going to be just a barrel full of monkeys fun. I should have another video out really soon, either maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. I do work those days, but it should be really interesting. It's going to be about Call of Duty being anti-war. Interesting stuff. So stick around and let me know if you want me to do a specific type of video. I'm still trying to gauge what I want from people, what I should do less of, what I should do more of. So let me know. Ciao, bitches. Dance.